Conversations with Nicole. Conversations with Nicole. Let's talk about it. Tell me all about it. I'm here. I wanna know what's on your mind. Ooh, the world needs to hear from you, and I'm so glad to have a conversation to reach the nation. And it's all about you. We'll help each other to discover innovative ways to positively change the world. Let's talk about, let's talk about, yeah. Let's talk about conversations with Nicole.
Greetings. Welcome to Conversations with Nicole. I am Nicole Everett, your host, and Conversations with Nicole is a talk show based in Tallahassee, Florida, focused on connecting the community through conversations. And today is what I call Wellness Wednesday, which is an opportunity for you, me, and my guests to talk about whatever it is we want to talk about. And today's topic is how therapy works and how to make it work for you. How therapy works and how to make it work for you. And my very special guest is Miss Pwendy Fenelus, who is no stranger to Conversations with Nicole. And I'm super excited and delighted to have her with me today. But before I bring her on, I want to hear from you. Where are you tuning in from? If you will, in the comments, put your city and state. We are live on Facebook, on YouTube, and this is an interactive conversation. We fully expect to hear from you. I know maybe there are some of you out there who have been hesitant about counseling. Maybe you have thought, what can some stranger do to help me with my issues or my problems? I'm not comfortable telling some stranger my business or, all of the things. And we'll get into all of that a little later. But tag a friend, let them know they need to be on here. For those of you who are maybe will be watching the replay, in the comments, put replay and give us a hello and tell us where you are tuning in from as well. So I see my mom is here, but when I tell you my mama is my biggest fan, I love you, Ma. I appreciate you. She is tuning in from Miami. I appreciate you so much. Thank you for being here. All right, I see a few more folks coming on. So, y'all do your thing. And when you get a moment, just let us know where you are tuning in from. But I'm going to go ahead and read some of Pwendy's bio. So Pwendy Fenelus works as a mental health therapist in the state of Florida. She has dedicated her work to helping individuals from all walks of life realize a better quality of life by addressing their emotional and psychological needs. Pwendy has interest and profound understanding in human behavior, and she has a genuine passion for relieving emotional pain through a variety of therapeutic interventions. She holds a bachelor's degree in social work from Florida Atlantic University and a master's degree in social work from Stony Brook University. She is a licensed clinical social worker in the state of Florida and holds a licensed master's of social work in New York. Her primary residence and career is based in Florida, where she has her own private practice named Fresh Living Counseling, Ode to Living in sunny South Florida. With over 10 years of experience, Winnie has worked in various clinical settings, including private practice, school, community mental health centers, and medical institutions. She specializes in anxiety disorders, depression, trauma, and relationship issues. Her therapeutic approach is integrative, drawing from evidence-based modalities such as cognitive behavioral therapy, psychodynamic therapy, EMDR, and mindfulness-based interventions. She tailors her approach to each client's unique needs, fostering a safe and collaborative space for exploration and growth. Known for her warm and empathetic demeanor, which you will all experience throughout this live. She establishes a strong therapeutic alliance with her clients. Her genuine care, coupled with a keen sense of humor, creates an atmosphere where individuals feel heard, understood, and supported on their path to healing. So, y'all, help me welcome Miss Pwendy Fenelus. Yay!
Thank you, Nicole. I feel welcomed.
Good, good. You ought to.
Yeah.
So tell the people who missed you the last time you were on, who is Pwendy Fenelus? Not what you do, but who are you?
Yes, that is a great question. Okay, so who I am a Haitian descent girly who is a South Florida native. And I am definitely a person who is a little bit of an introvert and a homebody. I love, anything home related, home decor, hosting people in my home, that sort. And I am definitely a big foodie. I love exploring new
Mhm.
restaurants and foods. And I don't know, I just kind of go with the vibe. So that's
Love
really who I am. Yeah,
love it, love it. I'm a foodie too from South Florida as well, so we have lots and lots in common.
absolutely.
Yes, so I see a few folks joining us. Miss Jeanette down in Miami Gardens, rainy and windy. You're not alone, Miss Jeanette. It's rainy and
Yeah.
windy in Tallahassee as well. So I think the whole state of Florida is has been raining for the last 2 days.
Mhm.
All right, but thank you for being here. And we have Miss Princess on with us. Thank you for being here, who is also here in Tallahassee. So, tell us a little bit about like your road to mental health in terms of being a social worker and like how you even got into that field.
Yeah. So actually, I did not start off wanting to be a social worker out the gate from high school. I had a different career goal. I wanted to
Mm,
work in the fashion industry, and I wanted to work kind of the business or the back end of the fashion industry. So that was my pathway until I realized that my heart of hearts was helping people who were considered like vulnerable populations, such as kids in foster care, vulnerable adults, and such. So I went to my guidance counselor in college, and I was talking to them, and they mentioned social work, and I was like, "What is social work? I've never even heard of it." So they told me what it was, and I thought it was a perfect fit. So I switched majors, and that was the beginning of where we are now. Now, the journey to a therapist, that's a whole different story because, the degree of social work is really deep and wide. You can do social work in so many different settings. So I started off as, entry level
mhm.
caseworker, and that transitioned to a whole lot of different settings until I found my home in therapy. So,
Nice,
yeah.
nice, 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 nice.
Mhm.
Well, we are glad that you chose this road. Definitely representation matters. And so,
Absolutely.
there are not a whole lot of black and brown counselors and therapists out there, but it's good to know that you are here serving the people of Florida
Yeah.
and New York. And
Yes.
so, of course, I gotta ask, are you taking new clients at this time?
At this time, I am taking new clients, but there might be a wait list very soon. So
Okay.
you can definitely reach out and we'll have a conversation. And if there's a wait list, then you'll be placed on the wait list. But yeah, feel
Right.
free to call.
Okay, cool. So, and we'll give you Wendy's information at the end so that you can connect with her. But I definitely try to, ask if folks are, the guests are taking clients so that people can know that, yes, they can reach out to you and utilize your services because that's important to know, especially with this topic that we have tonight, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mhm,
Yeah.
mhm. So we're gonna jump into that in just a moment, but before we do, because I have a licensed professional on, I want to read my disclaimer, which states that all topics, past, present, and future on Conversations with Nicole, are for informational purposes only. They are not to be used as a diagnosis for treatment or an answer to any personal issues related to the topic being discussed before, during, or after the program. All right, I said it. So, how does therapy work? I'm a before I have you answer that question, I want
Mhm.
to get our viewers involved. So let us know in the comments if you don't mind. How do you think therapy works? What's the benefits of therapy? What's the purpose of what's the not benefits? What's the
The
purpose of
point. Yeah.
what, why should you go to therapy? Why? We got Ozzy Daniel on, who is a clinician in Virginia Beach, Virginia. Thank you for joining us, my brother. I appreciate you so much. All right, so tell us in the comments, why should we go to therapy?
Mhm.
Why? Why? So while folks are putting their comment in, I will share that probably one of the best explanations around therapy that I have ever heard comes from a clinician here in Tallahassee who actually transitioned last month. But he said that his purpose as and he was a psychologist, his purpose was to
Mhm.
help his clients find new solutions to old
Mhm.
problems.
I love that. I
Well,
love that. And that's very
that's
true.
yes.
Mhm.
New
Yeah.
solutions to old
Mhm.
problems. Things that you are having difficulty resolving, solving. That's what not me, but he, as a
Mhm.
clinician, as a
Mhm.
counselor, as a therapist, am here to help you, identify, like maybe even, well, definitely identify some new solutions, but look at those issues from a different perspective,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
Right. So Princess chimed in. She said, for understanding of behavior, emotions, and thoughts for consciousness. Okay. Yes. Agreed.
Mhm.
Agreed. All right. Um, so folks will chime in and there may be a little bit of a delay.
Mhm.
Okay, Ozzy just responded. He said, you get to voice your thoughts and feelings while you are healing yourself through a listener, one who helps to define and guide your thoughts into a place of understanding. Yes, yes, I like that. I like that.
Mhm.
All right, good deal. All right, so Pwendy, let's hear from you.
Yeah, I love those comments because those it shows that there are a variety of reasons to
Mhm,
go to therapy. It's really unique to that person. But in general, I love that quote that you shared. My understanding of it as a clinician is that if and when you feel that you are in a situation and you feel like you need change,
mm,
something's got to change. I
mhm,
wish this would change. These are the times that you should really consider therapy. I love what Ozzy said about a guide. A therapist is really just supporting you in your process.
mhm,
So if you feel whatever the case is, whether it is a marriage relationship, issues with children, issues with work, issues with your thought life, issues like if you just had a medical problem and now you're going through it, whatever it is that you feel like I need someone to support and I
mhm.
wish this would change, that is kind of like your green light to as a good reason to seek therapy for sure.
So let me ask you this. Should you wait until you are in a crisis to see a therapist?
No, nope, nope, nope. No.
Okay.
We do. I do get a lot of, most of my clients come in at a point of crisis, and crisis
Mm,
care is a totally different approach than coming in because you are, kind of not stable, but you're like not in crisis,
mm,
But I would say if you are just living your life and you feel like, man, I really wish this would change, you know, go ahead and start considering researching a good counselor to go to. I don't think you should wait until it's like at its worst point to try to go and Google and reach. Because like just like how I said, I might have a wait list. You'll be in crisis and you'll call around and you'll find someone, and then they're not taking clients, and that can cause you to feel more hopeless. So
Yeah,
if you feel anything, go whenever you feel that you need change.
indeed. So when you feel you need change, that is why you should go to a counselor or therapist.
Mhm.
And we're going to dive into how therapy works. I see Miss Olivia Jones, who's here in Tallahassee, has joined us. Thank you for being here. So let's talk about how therapy works, because, I think for those of us who have not gone to therapy, there's some
Mhm.
thoughts around what that is, right? I would
Mhm.
say in the Black community specifically, in talking with folks, because I at one time was a behavioral health navigator, I would often hear folks that look like you and I say, I'm not crazy. Or
Mhm.
I'm not telling, this person my business, or I got Jesus. So I'm going to pray and I don't need counseling, right? And
Mhm.
so there may be a lot of myths or even apprehensions as it relates to therapy. So let's talk a little bit about how therapy works.
Okay. So, absolutely, there are a lot of preconceived notions and misinterpretation of what therapy is and what it looks like. So, as you were saying earlier, the first one is I'm not crazy. Me seeking out a counselor, that there's an association that you're crazy, um, or that there so yeah, there's an association that you're crazy or you're going to get a diagnosis and people are going to know in the community. But the reality is, if we can reframe that and to say that, me going to therapy means that there's something wrong that I'm trying to change.
Mm,
It does not mean you're crazy. Maybe at one point historically it did, because the field of human behavior is still a little bit fairly new in comparison to like the field of medicine, you know?
mm,
So at the beginning, at the birthplace of, human behavior, Sigmund Freud, like all of those people, their way of doing treatment was very much so dealing with people who were had psychotic disorders, but the field has progressed, it has expanded, where now we deal with people who simply have seasonal depression, or have social anxiety,
mm,
or just have relationship issues, so we kind of have to little by little educate, even our clients, in my office I have to slowly educate them about what therapy is, and that it does not mean you are crazy because you are sitting in my office, it just means that you are actually not crazy, like you are actually smart, and you've had enough awareness that something is wrong, something is off, and you are seeking proper help. That is the sign of a not crazy person. Even if
yes.
you have like schizophrenia or something where that has a delusional disorder, you still have some type of awareness. I'm hearing things, I'm seeing things, I need to go to someone.
Hmm.
So that is like a courageous person, not a crazy person. And then I also like to say, like, we all are a little crazy. That's what I found in my practice. We all have a little bit
Hmm.
of craziness in us. Some of us show it more, and some of us hide it more. Some of us are not aware, but we all are a little crazy. So it kind of evens the playing field. Um, and lastly, if we're talking about the Christian community, where, I just need Jesus, if we just needed Jesus, he would not have made all the other people in the world. He wouldn't have made our brains to understand human behaviors, And Jesus himself, when he was on earth, he didn't say, I just need myself in God, He had his friends. He had Peter, he had John, he had Luke or whatever, So he had people around him and his
Yeah.
family as well. So a lot of people who come to therapy, a lot of times is because there's some type of breakdown in their
Mm,
family relationship or in their relationship with themselves, you
yeah.
know? So then they need somebody that can help them maneuver through that. So if we were to use the example of Jesus, he was Jesus and he had read back. Okay. Yeah. So he also felt like him being God, he still needed somebody.
Absolutely. We got a few folks that have joined us. So I want to give greetings to Susan in Hampton, Virginia. Thank you for being here. And we got Enigma Sep on. He said, need Jesus and a great Black therapist. Yes,
Yep.
absolutely. He's here in Tallahassee. Thank you for joining us, my brother. And Mama Lori is on here in Tallahassee. Thank you for being here. We also have Keisha on, who is here in Tallahassee. Tallahassee is showing up tonight, boy. Dr. B, who's here in Tallahassee. Peace, brother. Great to see you. And my sister Shaq, who is here in Tallahassee as well. Thank you for being here. She said, Jesus, needed good counsel. Yes, he did. Yes, he did. Yes, we got Aisha Harp. Thank you for being here. And Tavares, thank you for being here. Both who are in Tallahassee. Tavares was on the show on Monday. We talked about trauma-informed body work. So, yeah. So, yes to all of what you just said. Agree to all of that. So, we're talking about how therapy works and how to make it work for you. So I just threw out some of the um, combat or some of the feedback that I have gotten in this work of mental health advocacy around, not wanting to tell people your business and not being crazy, and you got Jesus. So, and you just so wonderfully um, dispelled all of those myths. But let's dive a little bit into, again, kind of how more specifically it works, especially from the standpoint of what you can kind of expect when you go to a therapist and how you even find a therapist.
Okay. Okay. And before I answer that question, I just want to go back to another thing that you just said about people say, I don't want to tell people my business, which is true. It's a real thing that people are afraid of, because when you go to therapy, you are really sharing a lot of your personal business, things that you probably haven't shared with people in your family, but the beauty about therapy is that it's the one and only place that I know of where, well, let me go back to people say that because when they do share their business to someone that they feel is a safe person, typically there's gossip, or it gets out in the community and then their reputation, but this is totally different. This is not Susan, your next door neighbor or Miss Joe or whatever. This is a professional therapist that is bound by, and we are bound by the HIPAA law. We are bound by confidentiality law, and so that's the one place where you can go and your secrets are safe.
Yes.
Your secrets are safe. So it's not going to get out as far as people knowing your business. The only person who would know your business is that clinician,
Right.
So there should be a little bit of a, okay, I can bear my soul, I can bear my heart without this fear or dread that someone's going to find out.
Indeed. And just to add on, I'm probably kind of jumping the gun a little bit, but on the how to make it work for you, you want to be able to share. The only way it's going to work is for you to be honest, is for you to be vulnerable, is for you to be willing to, peel back these layers and really get to the root of what's going on.
Absolutely. Yeah. Honesty is, I know it sounds like very cliche, honesty is the best policy, but in regards to therapeutic work, when you show up as yourself, your true self, the good, the bad, the ugly, I mean, I hear the craziest things, but that's where the work is, when you can be honest in treatment, not for the counselor's sake, but for yourself, So you're saying, I hear things again, and this is not crossing HIPAA, but things like, I don't like my children. I don't like my husband. I don't like my wife. I don't like my mom, and they're like, wow, did I just say that? And it's like, but that's where it is. We need that in order to like heal and move forward. Why don't you like your children? Why
Mm,
don't you like your husband? So it is okay. This is the one of the only places besides maybe like an intimate relationship, that you can be yourself without judgment. You could be yourself and your secrets are safe, and you could be unfiltered.
yes.
There's so many places in our world where we have to be filtered for our protection. You can't
Right.
be unfiltered at work. You can't be unfiltered sometimes in your family, in your home. But when you hire a clinician, that 1 hour every week or every other week, you can actually be as unfiltered as you feel comfortable with.
Hmm. Yes, absolutely. So I want to bring some attention to some other folks who have joined us. Renika, thank you for being here. Also, Miss Black Queen, thank you for being here, Sheba. I appreciate you. And then Tavares chimed in and said, therapists hold space for you to be you and process those thoughts, feelings, and experiences. Yes, yes, yes.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Indeed, indeed,
Yeah.
indeed.
To get back to your question about, what can one expect? How does therapy work? So basically therapy is, well, just to go back, how do you get it started? So you feel like something is going on, I need something to change, I need a break, like a breakthrough. You go on Google, so you can use any search engine and type in mental health therapist near me, and then you'll have a lot of different links to go through to find who you're looking for. It's key to write mental health therapist because there's different type of therapists out there. There's rehab therapists, there's
Right.
physical therapists. So another big platform is Psychology Today.
Mhm.
That is one of the biggest platform where most clinicians have a profile there and all of their information. They're also vetted through that platform. They
Yeah.
have to put in their credentials and things of that sort. So you know that you'll be finding someone who is licensed in your state.
Mhm.
So Psychology Today, and then there's so many different platforms like Headway, Alma, Therapy for Black Girls.
Mhm.
So you'll go through there. You'll find someone. If you're paying privately, you have a little bit more freedom. But if you're going through your insurance, you have to find someone who is in network.
Yes.
Okay. So you find your person. They typically want to meet with you for a consult, and then you schedule your first session. So how therapy work is that you come in and you tell us what the problem is. What is the problem? And then we just listen in your own word, and we're usually taking notes or processing what you're telling us. And we also, as the clinician, we also ask our own questions so we can get clarification, so we can understand it better, maybe get some more information from you, the background on the problem, like how long has it been happening, things of that sort. And then we just have a dialogue about the problem. And as we are dialoguing, typically the clinician, we will start to treatment plan around the problem. So if we give an example of, let's see, um, having an issue like a relationship conflict issues, there's arguments in the home, there's tension in the home. So that would be the problem. And you would, and I would ask questions about, was this problem always there? Did something happen that caused like more arguments in the home? And then after I get a good sense of it, we start to treatment plan. So we typically set about 3 goals of what will need to be changed for the client to feel like they got what they needed in treatment. you
Mm.
know and it's a collaborative conversation, but we would talk about, like, if we had that presenting problem, maybe lessen the intensity of the arguments in the home, lessen the frequency of arguments in the home, maybe establish how to communicate and establish personal boundaries with your spouse or with your children, things of that sort. Okay, so there's a treatment plan, and then every single time the client comes to session, they're just giving me updates. They're giving me their experiences in between sessions, And then I am just plugging it in my mind in the treatment plan, are they progressing? Are they regressing? Is it getting worse? And I'm also plugging in interventions for them to practice in session with me and also when they leave my office. So
Nice.
that's how therapy works. And then we just check in. And then once we reach our goals, then we terminate. You know, uh, Therapy sometimes is not forever. For some people, it might be for maintenance, but that's how, in a nutshell, that's how it works.
Okay, that was a great overview.
Mhm.
I see a few more folks who have joined us. My sister Shayla, thank you for being here. Miss Lakasha, who is in Pensacola, thank you for being here. Kiosha, who is in Tallahassee, I appreciate you being here. And also Marcus Boston, who is in Tampa, and he says, I love therapy. Yes,
Me
yes,
too, Marcus.
so we are about halfway through our talk. And so for those of you who are just joining us, I'm on with Pwendy Fenelus, who is a licensed clinical social worker in the South Florida area. And we're talking about how therapy works and how to make it work for you, how to make it work for you. So, again, great overview of just kind of how you identify a counselor, those different means of Googling and, again, as you mentioned, psychology today is a very popular one um,
Mhm.
to identify a counselor. And so you want to, again, find someone that you feel comfortable talking with. Oftentimes, counselors will offer a 15 or 20-minute free consultation so you can kind of get a feel for, if you all kind of vibe. And you may say, yeah, I don't know if I can find that out in 15 or 20 minutes, but I think you probably can. Um, yeah, so we just kind of talking around now. So I want to also say questions and comments are welcome. So feel free. This is an opportunity to, just kind of dive in. And for those of you, especially who have not um, been to a counseling session, um, definitely want you to be comfortable to ask questions and talk around that. All right. Olivia said therapy has been useful for me and my family. Jesus works through others to orchestrate healing. Oh, bingo.
Absolutely.
Bingo.
Mhm.
That's it right there, Olivia, for sure. Thank you for sharing that. All right. So how can we make counseling work for us? I mean,
Mhm.
we talked about kind of being apprehensive, maybe about telling, this person our business.
Yeah.
How do we work around that?
Mhm.
A lot of times it's a lot more painful or ugly before it gets better, right?
Yes. Yes. Yeah, so I would say even what you said is a good place to start of how to make counseling or therapy work for you, is to make sure that the clinician is a good match for you, that you feel comfortable talking with them. We all have our own experiences and history, so we also have our own triggers, So for example, if you find someone, you like their credentials, they're close to your home, they're in your network, but then you meet with them and you just simply don't feel comfortable. It could be their background, it could be that they're male or female, it could be that they remind you of somebody that, bullied you or that, dismissed you. Whatever it is, if you find when you're in session that you are not comfortable for whatever reason, for with talking with them, then it's time to express that to the therapist and terminate. People can fire their own therapists.
Mhm.
So feel free to do that. You have permission to not continue with someone that you don't feel comfortable talking with because it hinders the therapeutic process. Um, the other thing that I would say to make therapy work for you is to
Yeah.
show up to your scheduled session. So it takes a lot of courage sometimes for some people. It takes a lot of courage, a lot of gut to say, to get past all of these like preconceived notion, oh my gosh, I'm crazy. Oh my gosh, what are people going to think? Oh my gosh, this person's going to know my business to make that call. to a clinician to set up your first session, you know, then you make it to the first session. Those feelings are still going to exist. So then by the next scheduled session, there's all these excuses, right? Like, oh, I don't think I need it. Yeah, I'm good. I'm okay, you know? And if you are, you are. But if that is an excuse because of fear of what to expect or fear of like, I don't really want to do this, you know, try to get past that if you can and show up. And you're not just showing up for the clinician, you're showing up for yourself. You know,
Yes.
you felt the need to call, you did it. You felt the need to schedule a session, you did it. Now it's time to show up, you know. So,
Yes.
mhm. So that time is carved out for you, but it's your investment into yourself, and it's a worthy investment.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So Keisha said, I need an appointment, Nicole. Be having all these conversations with you. Yes, yes, you do. I am a big advocate of people
Mhm.
going for, setting up an appointment and going to therapy. I call it getting your checkup from the neck up. And I think it's as serious as a annual physical exam. So
Mhm.
we need to, at bare minimum on an annual basis,
Mhm.
go, meet with a counselor.
Mhm.
I go to
Absolutely.
counseling. Okay. I do. And
Mhm.
I thoroughly enjoy
Mhm.
it. Typically a little heavy after going because there's typically some crying and all of that that's going
Mhm.
on. But,
Mhm.
after I do open up and
Mhm.
um, process my thoughts and feelings and experiences as we talked
Mhm.
about earlier today, I do feel better. And
Yeah.
so it has done a lot for me. It has benefited me greatly. I see Miss Maya is on here. Thank you for being here. She said, what are some tools to get through those barriers of getting to the point of showing up? Fear being one of the biggest barriers.
Yeah. What I would say, Maja, is that you can do hard things. You
Mm,
know, the fear will be there. You know, that's what you're going to process in that room. You know,
mm,
why am I even afraid to show up for myself? Why am I even afraid of change? You know, so we'll get there in the room with a clinician. You know, but on your own, I just want to say that you can do hard things. So you can do hard things and you'll survive, you know, like I'm afraid of going to a clinician. I feel afraid, but I'm still doing it. I'm still doing it.
hmm So you pushing through,
Yeah.
pushing past the fear,
Yes.
hmm which is facing the fear, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And getting you a Nicole so she can text you and tell you that you got this. So get you a friend who gets it, who's gonna say, "Oh my gosh, like we're here for you and we're gonna support you." You
Mm,
know. But the fear is like it's really all not all in our mind, but it's mostly in our minds, you know. But you're just pushing through to get in that room so you can process the fear and you can relieve that pain, that emotional pain.
absolutely,
Mhm.
absolutely. Um, I think, of course, one of the acronyms we hear for fear is false evidence appearing real, right?
Mhm.
So if we can just tell ourselves something else, because that cognitive triangle is really real. It's the
Mhm.
thoughts and then
Yeah.
the feelings and emotions
Mhm.
and then the behaviors. So if we
Mhm.
change our thoughts, ultimately we will change our behavior. So if we could just think something else and have a more positive feeling about it, then I
Right.
think that will help us get there. uh,
Absolutely.
Marcus talks about he missed a session, he felt terrible, he did reschedule, but also that yes, he had anxiety attacks before
Mhm.
his first 3 sessions as he got started. Yes,
Mhm. Yeah.
again, so that's those thoughts. We got to change those
Yeah.
thoughts, right?
Yeah. And because, our body knows, our bodies are very sophisticated and we don't give it as much credit, so our body knows. I speak with my clients where they'll have a good week, and then our sessions are coming up and they start to feel things because our body is calculating, it's Tuesday and we're already in process of exploring the past or talking about painful things, so our body is going to remember and it's going to respond to that. Thank your body. Thank your body that it is aware. It has the safety mechanism. And in session we are going to kind of honor our body and say, thank you for keeping me safe, but I'm going to retire this way of coping, anxiety attacks and things of that sort, because it's no longer serving me. And I have these newer skills that I'm learning with this person,
I
So
love how you said that. I'm going to retire this way of thinking
yeah,
because it's no longer serving me. Y'all somebody type that in the comments. I'm going to retire this way of thinking because it is no longer serving me. Yes.
yes, yeah. And when you retire, typically, right, there's some type of party or some type of celebratory thing because you worked, and you contributed, and it was positive, So even though these forms of coping or maladaptive forms of coping, at one point it served you well, So it's okay to not be judgmental and have disdain, towards it. Honor it. Thank you for making me feel like something's wrong in this environment, and my nervous system was activated because it kept me safe,
Yeah.
But now I've grown up. I'm an adult, I
Mhm.
don't live there anymore. I can walk away. I can use my voice, I have a car key, so you have to, so basically, it's okay to celebrate those coping skills and not judge them too harshly, because at one point they were doing their job, and so before a retirement, you celebrate. Thank you so much. We honor that, and then we move on.
Yes. Keisha talk about what she said. All right, we got Coach Merv on. He said, great topic. The power of people's opinions keep many from going because they may be judged and viewed as crazy, which we talked about earlier. It is still abnormal in certain sectors, but this type form will help. Thank you. Oh, thank you, Coach Merv. Our pleasure. Thank you for your comment. And my cousin Rennie said, I'm going to retire this way of thinking because it is no longer serving me.
Yes.
Well, yes, Rennie, that's it.
Like
That's
she said, yes.
it. Yes. I love it. So, all right, we're pushing past the fear.
Yes.
We are, doing away with that which is no longer serving us well, retiring that way of thinking.
Mhm.
But and that sounds all well and good when I'm in the
Mhm.
session, right?
Mhm.
Then I gotta go back to my reality. And so how do I deal? Because
Yeah.
yes, I mean, I may feel safe with Wendy,
Yeah.
when I'm in the session with her, but then I
Mhm.
go back home and then I gotta go back to work and I gotta deal with my kids who I don't like and my spouse who I don't like, and my family and my coworkers who I can't stand.
Mhm.
How do I do all of that?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So here's where the work of therapy happens, So we do a lot of good work in session, but it is contained to 53 minutes, 55 minutes
Mhm.
once a week, We are not with you the rest of your life. So the real work of therapy is realized outside of session.
Mhm.
When you are back in that environment. Me as a clinician, I absolutely love to give my clients homework. I don't call it homework because, homework makes you feel like I don't want to do it or it's a burden. I call it a therapeutic exercise.
Mhm.
Um, I give them something to work on in between our sessions. So I had a young lady, she had severe social anxiety, but it was related to something developmental with her. And but she wanted to connect with people. So I gave her homework to just tell the person next to her at work good morning. That's it. Just tell her good morning, you
Mm,
know? And I'm like, can you do that? And she's like, yeah, I had to get her buy-in, because she might say, no, I don't want to do that, or no, I can't do it. And I'll give her another homework. So
mm,
she said, yeah. And I said, and if she said good morning, maybe say, how was your weekend? She's like,
mm,
can you do that? Yeah, okay. And
mm,
so between session, at her job, she did that. And she was pleasantly surprised that the person wanted to connect with her and responded positively towards her, you
mm,
know? So the real work of therapy is really um, proved outside of session, but it's only proved outside of session if your counselor gives you something to work on in that environment.
mm.
Another example might be I have a lot of clients who have issues with setting boundaries because we all have issues with that, So, and especially in a marriage,
Mhm.
so, a marriage with a dominant personality. So one of the things that I would, so we'll role play in session so that they have a sense of rehearsal. So they
Okay.
get all the kinks out, they hear themselves say what they want to say. I help them to breathe through what they're saying, and then I let them go, live their lives. And I ask them to practice when you have an opportunity to establish a personal boundary, you know, I want you to take it. I want you to try that, and they'll give me pushback like, yeah, but they're still gonna be mean or they're still gonna be yelling at me or whatever. And I
Mhm.
said, it's not about their response, it's about you learning that you have a voice and you can use it, you
Yes.
know. And most of my clients, they do practice it and they're pleasantly surprised and they grow in therapy because they're like, wow, before I couldn't say anything and now I'm talking to everybody, you know.
Mhm.
So
Mhm. That's great. I love that.
mhm,
Seeing those types of transformation and results,
yeah.
again, that's what therapy is all about, right?
Mhm,
So we got Belinda, my girlfriend Belinda, who is in Texas. Thank you for being here. And Olivia said, I think we reclaim our power when we focus on our mental well-being, right?
mhm, absolutely.
And I just want to say that real time, right? When you're having that heated conversation, it may be challenging, right?
Mhm, mhm,
You're not focused on your mental well-being. You focus on, being right or being
mhm,
offended or, you know,
mhm,
having the last
mhm,
word or, all of the things,
mhm,
right? And so I think, Olivia, the real key to what you're saying is like really honing in on you real time during those heated discussions or
mhm,
agreement or argument or what have you, confrontation, and being in your body and regulating your emotions, right?
mhm. Yes. Yeah, and that's why in my practice, we do a variety of intervention because it's really as needed to the client sitting in front of me. But what you're speaking of, Nicole, is somatic work. So,
Mhm.
yeah, when a lot of my clients are like in their 60s, sometimes 70s, and they've been married for a long time, like 40, 50 years, and I'm telling them to practice this thing, and they're like, they're to Oh, okay.
I'm here.
They okay. they go to practice it with their husbands, and their voice is gone. Their literal voice is gone because they feel like the little 12-year-old that the father was very dominant, and
Mhm.
their voice is cracking, their voice is done, they're trembling because they're just right back there. And they
Mhm.
come back to session and they tell me, how was it? Did you get to practice? And they're like, I did, but this is what happened. And we
Yeah.
use our session to kind of explore that. What
Mhm.
is happening? Is there some younger parts of yourself that feels unsafe, that feels like they can't speak? And we work on that in session and we practice it and we incorporate breathing. So you're getting upset. I want you to say, where's my feet? And then now you're grounded and you can like not be hijacked by this emotion of someone yelling at you or feeling offended, and you
Yeah.
can actually speak. So there's so many things that we could do in session to help someone to reach their goal.
Yes, 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 yes. We got Donna Wallace with us. Thank you for joining us, Donna. So, whew, you have said quite a bit because that is really, really good. Shannovia is on. She said that's a good tip, right? So that practice, that grounding, all of those are really, really great pointers as it relates to how to make it work for you, right? Because again, in the session, that's a safe space. I'm talking to Pwendy, and she's so wonderful. She understands. She's helping me through it, but again, I gotta get I gotta leave this office and go and deal with these folks in these situations. And it has brought me a lot of stress and anxiety and yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
mhm,
And I
mm,
would also say the last part of how to make it work for you. So, yeah, showing up, being honest, having a good match to your clinician,
mhm,
and if it's not a good match, speak up and let them know that, hey, I don't want to continue, or talking to them about what's making you feel uncomfortable.
mm,
And maybe it could be resolved with that person. And the last thing would be to trust the process. A
mhm.
lot of people come in and they're like, fix me, like, okay, here's the problem, fix me, and we all wish that we had a little magic wand and we could say,
Right.
doop, everything is gone, but we don't, it is a process, if it took 12 years, 15 years, 20, 40 years for a problem to set in, to your life, or your it's going to take a little bit of time to,
Yes.
like a resolve,
Yep.
So trust the process, trust your clinician. And
Mhm.
that's part of your counselor's job, to create a safe space for you to feel trusting of them.
Mm.
It's not your job as the client, but trust your clinician, trust yourself, and trust the process.
All right, love it. Marcus says, so true therapy takes you back to the trauma scenario. It does, but hopefully, if you unpack it, then you can move forward, right? There's healing when you go back. That's the whole purpose of going back, is to really get to the root cause of what happened and what you were doing, that was serving you at the time to
Mhm.
protect yourself or, cope with whatever was going on. And then, recognizing that some things may not be serving you well anymore. And so, like we said, I'm going to retire this way of thinking
Yeah,
because it no longer is serving me well.
yeah.
And then we can move forward, right?
Yes, and then the only thing that I would say with what Marcus said is, so the difference is with a clinician. A good clinician is, if we are unpacking any type of past trauma, you are unpacking it in a safe environment with a lot of resources.
Yeah.
That's the difference. It's one thing to unpack it on Thanksgiving, where it is not safe around that table, maybe,
Yeah.
when there's not resources, there's actual like weapons to be like, what are
Right.
we talking about? That is not a safe place to unpack past trauma. But if
Mm,
you're with a clinician that you trust and that you have built safety and trust with, yes, you're unpacking something that may be scary. And in your mind, it may feel like dangerous, like it's imminent threat, even though you're not in that situation. The
mm,
difference is you're doing it with a lot of intention, a
yep.
lot of purpose, and you have a lot of resource. And
Mhm.
your clinician should teach you those resources, okay, when this happened, I want you to take a breath. I want you to feel the weight of your body against your chair. You could
Mm,
do EMDR. Like, there's so many different resources that is used. So it's not just, so the sake of unpacking the past is not just to unpack it just because. There's a real purpose behind it, is to resolve it.
yes, absolutely. Princess said, I love that. Trust the process.
And
Trust.
trust yourself. That's another thing that has come up a lot in my or with my clients, they trust me, they trust the process, but then they don't trust themselves. So, you
Mm,
know, having a level of self trust that you are, as you are doing the work, there's things happening, things are changing.
mhm, mhm, mhm. I would also add to that, with the trust in yourself, I think sometimes people can self-sabotage. So I think some of that mindset in terms of trusting yourself is be your own best friend or advocating for you.
Yeah,
But sometimes, especially if you tend to be like a people pleaser, you can put yourself last, right?
yeah,
And so I think that yes, trust yourself, but also just kind of be an advocate for yourself as well.
absolutely. Yes.
All right. Well, we are at a bit of a point now that it's time to kind of wrap it on up. This has been a great conversation, but I want to give you an opportunity, Pwenty, to give some closing remarks and tell the people how they can connect.
Okay, so yes, so I do have my own private practice here in the state of Florida. It is called Fresh Living Counseling. It is a virtual practice. So all of my clients are seen via telehealth, which is very convenient for them. So if you live in Florida, you can reach out to me through the website freshlivingcounseling.com. So you can also check me out on Instagram, Fresh Living Counseling, and then there's also the phone number so we can have a chat and see what you would like to start to work on.
All right, very good. Well, anything you want to share in closing it related to how therapy works and how to make it work for you?
Yeah, what I would like to share is that you are worth the investment. You are worth the investment. We invest in everything else, it seems sometimes, but ourselves. You know, we invest in the stock market, we invest in our friends, our family, we invest in the holidays, buying all this stuff, and
Mhm.
we forget that our greatest earn is actually ourselves. And
Yes.
where everything begins is really in our minds. So,
Yes.
whatever it takes to get you to resolve negative experiences from the past, maybe even from the present, do it. Find a way to push through to do it. If it's talking with a friend like Nicole, who's going to encourage you to do it, just find a way to take care of yourself and invest in yourself, and you will be very surprised by the reward that you get from it.
Yes, you are worthy. You are worthy.
And
And
it's
there,
not as scary. Mhm.
go ahead, go ahead.
Yeah, and it's not as scary as it seems. It's almost like going to the doctor and you have in your head the shots and what are the stethoscope and this and the lights and what's gonna happen, and then you go through it and you're like, oh, it wasn't that bad, and I feel better. So it's not as scary as it seemed with a good counselor. You're gonna like start anticipating wanting to go there. So
Yes, indeed, indeed, indeed. So definitely connect with Wendy. If you don't have a counselor and you're interested and you live in the state of Florida and you're interested in telehealth, give her a call, reach out and see. Do you do insurance, Wendy? Or
I
is it
do.
all okay? So
Yeah.
she even takes insurance too. So listen, this is what you're paying for, right? To utilize these services. So
Yeah.
definitely, definitely take advantage of that. Um, for those of you who may be new to the platform, of course, I have to ask you to subscribe to Conversations with Nicole. We are live on Mondays and Wednesdays at 8:30 p.m. and the focus is on mental health and wellness in Black and Brown communities specifically. And so we are all about trying to encourage us to get our checkup from the neck up and be our best selves. So I invite you here to engage with us. I want to thank you, Wendy, for being here and for sharing your knowledge, your expertise once again with me and my viewing audience. I appreciate you so much.
It's my pleasure. Thank you for having me. Thank
You
you.
welcome. And I want to thank you all the viewers for tuning in, whether you are live with us or on the replay. For my live folks, let us know if this has benefited you in some way. I see Shanovia. She said this was a great conversation. Thank you so much. Princess, thank you both for this session. Very needed and impacted session tonight. Yes, impactful. Thank you. Appreciate it. Donna, so true. Invest in your health. Yes, we have all the funds for hair, nails, lashes, etc. Indeed, right.
Yeah.
But we need to work on these minds. So yes. New, what did I tell you? The new solutions, the old problems, right?
Yes, yes.
Right,
Mhm.
right. So, Susan, great conversation. Thank you. Shayla, thank you so much. And let's keep this conversation going. All right. I want you all to share this with friends, family members, loved ones. And I want to encourage you, if you have not connected with a therapist, to do so. I'm challenging you. That's
Yes.
the challenge. Before the end of the year, at least make a call. If you can't
Yes.
get it before the end of the year, at least make the call and schedule for January. Kick off the new year with meeting with the counselor. All
Yes.
right.
Challenge for 2023. And hashtag don't be scared, right? Don't be scared.
Word.
Don't
Yes.
be scared. 2023 challenge.
2023. Look, 2024 challenge. Don't be
2024 challenge. Don't be
for
scared.
sure, for sure, for
Yeah.
sure. All right, good people. I am we are gonna sign off. I gotta give a shout out real quick to those Rattlers who will be taking on Bethune-Cookman this Saturday at the Florida Classic in Orlando. I will be there with my orange and green on, cheering them on. So go Rattlers. And we will see you all next week. Bye.
Bye.